Welcome back for Season 2 of Man Up. Today we're going to have Jason and Braeson McGinnis join us.
Man Up is a series that challenges men to become strong, unique, discipled followers of Jesus. Hosts Troy Ferguson, Sean Tice, Victor Thomas, and today's guest hosts are Jason and Braeson McGinnis. Welcome to Man Up.
Today is the first episode of our second season of this show. Now, for those of you that are watching on television, this is the first time we've been on this station. We're so glad to make the move over to CBS, and we pray that you will stick with us every week here Sunday mornings. But I just want to encourage you with this thought today. If you have something that you want to do, a dream that you're trying to pursue, but you don't have the skills, you don't have the understanding yet, I just want to say this: just start. Just start. Start working on it, start learning, start growing. And my thing is about developing dreams and pursuing dreams is you can't have all the tools together necessary to accomplish what you want to, but you need to start somewhere. Just like this show on this network for today is our first time. We just started. We don't have all the details together yet, but we're starting today. So I hope you check out our shows in the coming weeks and months. And if you are looking to pursue a dream, today, just start. We'll be right back as we get into the first segment of this show.
Mouth-watering family recipes, easy-to-make meals, humor and faith fill the inspiring show Dano on the Counter. Born with only half a spine, Dan Burkhart was never supposed to hold his head up. Despite countless surgeries, a stroke, leg amputations, and kidney transplants, Dano developed a contagious love for life. Join Dano on the Counter as he shares his easy-to-make dishes and a hope that keeps him pushing forward. Dano on the Counter, Sundays at 7:30 a.m. on CBS.
Welcome back to Man Up, and today we actually have two special guests with us. Why don't you young men introduce yourself?
I'm Jason McGinnis.
I'm Braeson McGinnis.
And tell us a little bit about yourself.
So obviously I'm Braeson's dad, but serving many roles, with him, from dad to coach to friend to whatever, I have him and then two other boys, Eli and Caleb, and obviously my beautiful wife, Stephanie. Mm-hmm. We're just involved with a lot here within the community, specifically with youth sports, and about every sport that they offer here in the community. Yeah.
So Braeson, tell us a little bit about yourself. We'll get into some things with your dad a little later, but what are some things you enjoy doing?
I like baseball, basketball, and football, and church.
That's awesome. Is there one of those sports that you like the best?
Baseball.
Yeah?
Yep.
Cool.
Braeson, you've had quite an amazing Little League career. Would you tell us more about that?
Yeah. I've played baseball since I was 6, and I've hit 8 home runs in my career and 3 in one game.
Wow.
I was at that game, actually. I didn't go to many games, but I was at the game that he hit 3 home runs. It was quite a beautiful sight.
You've been on some pretty good teams then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. We've won the City Classic 3 years in a row.
Really?
And the Courtesy Kia Little League World Series 2 years in a row.
Wow.
Wow. Awesome. Braeson, tell us, what have you loved most about baseball?
Just playing with my team and having my dad as my coach and playing with my brothers.
Can you hit a curve?
What?
I'll tell you, I played basketball. Baseball was not my thing. I think me and Michael Jordan, we just really couldn't get the hang of baseball. But getting that curve and being...
I like that curve.
Me and Michael.
Jordan, I'll tell you what. That's good. I've watched you guys, and we're not in the same league. My boys played in different leagues, but I've known you guys, and I've watched you guys, and there's something that I saw a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, where I believe it might have been a tournament team, not your Greenwood Meadows team, but a tournament team, but regardless, where you and a few other your teammates stepped away from your team. You guys knelt down and prayed before the game. Talk a little bit about where that came from. What started that?
The former coach, Gino Himes, he started a tradition, and we just continued to do it since then.
What does that mean to you, personally?
That I have other people on my team that can talk to God and with me before the game.
Jason, what's it like from a coach's perspective? Obviously, you're his dad, but What do the other coaches or parents, does anybody ever have issue with that?
Yeah, no, that's kind of one of the great things about our team is, we have a really good, solid nucleus of not only kids but parents, but we have a lot of parents with a faith-based background, and you don't always run into that in your sports. As a believer, you may get involved and you may do the things like we're talking about right now and get criticized for it. And so you have that end of it, but you also have the end of it where, people are in support of that. And we have the group that's primarily in support of that. We've never had any issues with that. It was just never really a discussion. It was something that we carried on as part of a tradition. But, I know for at least him and I and a few others, it's more than just a tradition. It's who we are, it's what we represent, it's what we do. So I think that alone just sends a message right from the beginning, because the game is bigger than wins and losses. It's bigger than championship trophies. It's bigger than MVP awards. It's myself and Braeson, and hopefully, this is the message that I've been conveying to him is, whether you're stepping on a football field, you're stepping in a classroom, or you're walking down the grocery store, you represent Christ, and that's first and foremost, and that's got to be at the forefront. So, for us, it was never really a thought of anything confrontational. It was more just, this is who we are, this is what we do, this is our culture at Greenwood Meadows. And we just had the buy-in from it. Nobody has ever really balked at it, gave us a question or a hard time, or they've just embraced it. It's just who they've been.
When I saw your team playing at the postseason stuff, I noticed, I believe the whole team knelt and prayed. Where what I saw the first time, it was just a few of you. That's why I think it might have been a tournament team or all-star team. And you haven't had any parents ask questions of why do you do that or anything like that?
No, not one.
Yeah.
Nope. No, and usually it's we have, among that, we try to instill the leadership within our boys too. So we always have whoever the starting pitcher is kind of get the team together and lead that prayer.
Oh, okay.
So it does vary, and we've never had anybody turn it down. We've had no one complain, no one say, no, I'm not doing this. That whoever that starting pitcher is for that game embraces it. The team comes in and they hold hands and, do their thing.
Wow.
Cool. So it's pretty cool.
Beautiful. Could I go back to Braeson? He said he had all these home runs. I could never hit a home run. Could you give a couple tips of how you do that?
Well, I've hit 7 of them to right field, and I just waited back and put them there.
Oh, wow. Wow. So you just wait for your pitch, and there's a lot of patience that goes in. I think I was that's kind of impatient. I'd take the first pitch and wouldn't work out very well. But yeah. You had another question, didn't you, Sean?
Yeah, sometimes you probably have some teammates that are swearing, disrespecting, coaches or parents or whatever. How do you handle that?
I just try to ignore it and just keep playing.
Yeah,
And
just try to be a leader.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to ask your dad this because I know what a dad's answer would be, but what do you feel has made your team that you've been involved with so successful?
Leadership, and that we all trust in each other no matter who was out there. We just trusted that they would make the plays, and no matter what the game would what type of game it would have been, that we would have made the plays. They would have made the plays.
Now you guys practiced a few times, right?
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
I played baseball growing up, and I know that one of the concepts that is so necessary is just drilling in fundamentals. One of the things that I appreciate about your team, that every pitch, everybody on the field knew what to do. If the ball was going to be hit to left field, the right fielders was moving and the infielders were adjusting. Everybody knew what their position was. A lot of kids, matter of fact, my oldest boy played all the way up through Federation, and there's times I'm like, these kids have no idea what to do. When a ball is hit to the shortstop, what does the second baseman do? What do these guys do in every play? And you guys, even in Little League, seem to have that. And I assume that that's from coaching, not just because you kids are talented. I'm not taking away from that. But I believe that coaching and practicing drills that into you, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
That's good. Practice makes perfect, as they say.
Yeah.
And the defense also.
Yeah.
What position do you play?
Shortstop and pitcher.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You have a good glove then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good job.
He's a great little ball player. I was honored to get to watch their team, and they didn't just win; they dominated.
Is that
Let me
right?
just say they don't. At least when I saw them. We're gonna stick around here and talk to your dad a little longer, Braeson. I just want to say congratulations. All the things that I watched you do in your little years, I've just been blessed with. Especially taking the spiritual component and having that as a foundation was something that blessed me as a pastor and as a friend. So I pray that you keep that up in your years to come on your other teams and even other sports that you play. So keep at it. And we'll be back here in just a minute with Jason and the crew as we talk a little more about competitive sports.
This segment is brought to you by Harry's Construction, whose motto is, "If you can dream it, we can create it." They are the kitchen and bath design experts, so call Harry's Construction for all your remodeling needs.
Welcome back to Man Up. We're going to continue our discussion about youth sports today. And Jason, I want to ask you, as well as the rest of the panel, many have argued that travel sports is destroying youth sports today. What do you feel about this concept? Many have in our culture.
Yeah, I would strongly argue against that. I think that travel sports and our local rec sports are just two different components. So it really is, what are you looking for and what are you looking to try to get out of it for your athlete? I have 3 boys, 2 of them are involved in the travel area. And I can just speak for my own 2, that travel ball has significantly helped them advance in their career, just from getting more reps, seeing a different style of baseball, seeing a different level of competition, getting coached by other guys, and guys that, maybe bring something else to the table, and it's not dad, constantly breathing down their neck. But I have seen, with my oldest son, just the drastic difference in him from the time he started both travel ball and rec league ball, and what that has done for him over his career. And he's had a great career, and I think a lot of that is just that competitive nature and that attitude, but also the ability to lead, and he's been in both areas, where he's been in an area where it's super competitive and you're playing with quote unquote the elite group, and you're playing in then the rec ball group where you have a mixture, of talent level. And I think for him personally, that's helped him become a better player, but a better leader on his teams, because he's been able to see a wide range of, the different area of the game.
Yeah.
The concepts are the concepts, the fundamentals are the fundamentals. But in travel ball, you're seeing a next level baseball with taking leads and stealing and pitching from the stretch and drop third strikes and those kinds of things. So, it puts him at a greater advantage now going into his 13-year-old season, because now he's had that experience and he's ready for that kind of ball that they play at 13.
That's good.
Travel sports are often on the weekends, and they take families away from church. How do you fill in the gaps for that?
Yeah, and that's tough. That is an area I know that we struggle with as a family, because you're absolutely right. It does. There are games where we're playing at 8 a.m. on a Saturday morning, and I think that it comes down to the individual and how you move forward with that. Obviously with our technology industry and the way things go, you have the live streams, and you can still tune in and have your moments and hear the sermons and, spend your time in prayer. To my knowledge, there's nothing saying that you had to sit in a pew to understand the message, but it is difficult. There's nothing like being in church, being in those moments of worship, hearing the word, when you're in the house of God, but like everything else, you do improvise, and you go to the live stream thing, but it's never the same, and I know that we struggle with that, because God is always first in our life, and we struggle with, okay, we're going to a baseball game, but yet we're supposed to be in church, So it is a struggle. I wish there was a perfect answer for it, but there's not. And I think, again, it just comes down to the individual, and you just always remember, no matter what you're doing, you're putting God first, and you just hope that, you just continue to pray through it, and I know that's what we do. We pray through it, and we just let God direct us, and hope that God will show us what we need to do, when we need to do it, and how we need to do it. And just rely on that.
I think if you're having those conversations with your kids too, and explaining the importance of church, and sometimes we do have to miss for certain things, but making sure that they know it's a priority in our lives. Does that
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah,
So,
yep, 100%.
Victor, you played sports, and I'm sure some travel with basketball. Where do you see the faith-based component if you're not able to be in church? We look at NFL. NFL, they're not in church on Sundays during the football season. So there has to be other elements. But what was your experience?
I'll say this: when you look, the component of sports, and now they have the AAU and those leagues that you're in, it's like all year round. One of the things that was always put into my mind before I came to God was the aptitude in schooling as well. And does that affect also? Because I was taught, okay, there's things we do in secular society, educational wise, then we bring those things over to serve God. So, and that was the question I had, Jason. How much time do you devote to schooling when your kids are on the weekends? Not just church, but also the schooling and the proper education they need before they go into the world. How much time do you devote with that, with all these travel leagues that are going on?
You mean as far as just
keeping up with their education and
as it relates to their church?
Not just church, but even
or just
school.
In general, school.
Because
school, just education. Okay,
church
I wasn't sure where you
over
were
here,
going. Okay.
But the secular aspects of what we learn.
My kids know. I'm in the education profession. So that is obviously first and foremost. When it comes to education and sports, I always tell my kids the same thing that I told my athletes whenever I coached. You are student athletes. Student comes before athlete.
Okay.
And anytime you say that, the kids are like, "What do you mean? I'm leaving to go play basketball." And I've told my own kids, your grades need to be at X percentage, or you're not playing. I don't care what the school has set out. They have a standard that they set in place for athletic eligibility, but Dad triumphs that. And they know very well, that academics are first and foremost. There's 1% of kids that go on to play at the next level, and I'll take my odds in my education before athletics. His education will take them, all three of them, will take them further. Yeah. And listen, hey, God does great things, and I pray every day that they are the next collegiate athlete and they go to the next level, and that's all great. But even then, at the end of the day, we have conversations in our house about these collegiate athletes that leave early. Do they ever finish their education? And I always try to instill into my boys, like, education matters the most. You are one injury away, you are one play away from never playing a sport again. So we do hit on that, and we do prioritize that very heavily.
And I wanted to put that out there before I answered Troy's question, because I was always taught that way. You're going to learn secular things, and you bring those things over to serve God. And so in the era I grew up, we didn't have these types of sports on Sunday. I remember the NFL wasn't even the prominent sports on Sunday. It used to be basketball. And so you always had that time to spend with the Lord. And, our church services, you could start 8:30 and still be there by 2 o'clock in the afternoon. But now I see a shifting where it's more the AAUs and those things that are happening on the weekend. It used to be a time in society where, stores weren't even open on Sundays, where, people sat down to dinner and you look forward to Sunday evening watching Walt Disney on TV. Yeah. And, it's shifted over a time period where it's now, more open that people aren't in church as much on Sundays. And it's one of those things, as you said, they stream it now. Does that really take the place of people being in the church itself? But then we have to remember that we are the church. Sure. And there's things that kids are doing nowadays. When I see what your son is doing, praying with other kids, and I see athletes now, when they're interviewed, they will take time to give glory to God, and they're using that opportunity to glorify God. And that's really what it's all about. We are really glorifying God, even in those activities that we do, whether it be sports or baseball, basketball, football. We can bring glory to God.
So let me ask you guys quickly in the final moments we have here. In competitive sports, no matter basketball, baseball, parents and coaches, when we are people of faith, we need to demonstrate our Christ-likeness. But let's just be honest that competitive sports, parents and coaches can get a little crazy. Now, I'm not going to bring anything up with my wife, but she is a baseball mom through and through. How do we maintain our witness in the midst of, that competitiveness?
You mean by not beating up the official when there's a bad call?
Well, what do you say as a coach, as a parent?
Yeah,
as a
I
man
mean,
of God?
listen, I would tell you first and foremost, there are times where, I've got a technical foul in basketball, I've got warned in baseball. To me, I think you have to look at what is that individual conveying. I think that any time that I've looked at those instances where I've been in those situations, it's not that I was trying to demoralize or bring anybody down. It was that I was fighting for my athletes. Mm-hmm. It's that, I saw that a kid was hurting in some capacity, and I was trying to fight to better them. And I'm sure that somebody on the other side of the table would disagree with that statement. But I think at the end of the day, the one thing to realize too is that, we're all human, and in the competitive realm of things, I've always said sports brings out the best in people. You want to see who somebody is, put them in a competitive nature. And I have to remind myself of that quite often because I am so passionate about wanting the best for not only my kid, but all the kids that we're coaching.
Sure.
And it does get a little out of control sometimes. And that's inherently what it is. But I think also the other side to that is, what are you doing after that? Are you just saying, oh, listen, I did nothing wrong and I was this person, and are you trying to point the fingers of the blame? Or do you take a step back and take a moment and self-reflect and say, you know what, I was wrong. I can tell you there are times where I've went up to an umpire after the game and I said, listen, I apologize, that's on me.
Right.
Sorry that I acted that way. You were right, it's your game, you call the game. So I think there's an area too where it can also help build your character and humble you as a coach, as a parent. Yeah. But I think we also have to just keep in perspective too, and we lose it often, these are kids. Yeah. At the end of the day and at the heart of it, they're kids. Yeah. And we have to remember that as adults and set that example. Yeah. And I know with Braeson, especially now that he's at the age that he's at, I will have a conversation with him, buddy, listen, Daddy did wrong, Daddy messed up. I shouldn't have said those things to that umpire or that referee. But what you did notice is I did go apologize to him. I said, you're going to mess up in life. And I turn it around to kind of, put that message into him at the age that he's at, because he's so vulnerable right now at 12 years old. That you're going to make mistakes, you're going to do things, and how are you going to humble yourself in those moments? Yeah.
Well, that's about all the time we have. I know we could talk about this a little longer, but thanks, Jason, for coming in and chatting, and your boy, just very proud of him.
Yeah.
And
thank you.
And proud of you too to see that he's become the reflection of what you've instilled in him. So thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back.
When it's time for a new roof, Champion Roofing is your best choice. We're a certified award-winning roofing contractor, meaning your roof is done right the first time. Call today.
Champion Roofing, we're the solution.
Made by Vogel is a father and son business that produces high-quality handmade wooden products such as cutting boards, bowls, bottle stoppers, and more. Products for sale can be found on their Etsy site or in downtown Altoona at the Clay Cup. You can't go wrong buying from Made by Vogel.
This season on Man Up, we're going to do something a little bit different with this final segment. We're going to show a video and have our guys respond to it, or have the video speak for itself. Check this video out today.
This may be a long video, but I need y'all to understand the full parameters of this experience. I took like 55 days off of social media, deleted TikTok. God had just sent me through this arena tour. So I just felt the need to pause and say, hey God, here's everything. If you want me to never drop music again, that's okay. If you want me to tour all the time, that's okay. Like whatever you want for me, I will do it. But I need to hear you. Lord, direct my compass. So my pastor challenged me and my buddy Noah to, in tandem, do a 30-day journal challenge. Long story short, I felt like God was saying, hey, I want you to start documenting everything, specifically with music. Literally in the journal, like, God, practically, what does this mean? And I'm like, okay, I gotta get camera equipment, I gotta get blah, blah, blah. So I buy all this gear, tripods, memory cards, battery packs. I set everything up and I test it out. I actually made 2 songs that I haven't shared yet because I was still figuring out if it was possible to make a whole song while recording. Anyways, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to launch this thing where I start documenting my musical journey and I break my back. And what's crazy about this, I happened to crash right in front of the Ring camera and we caught it on video. That's already super weird. I'm like, I can't believe we caught this on video. Next, I'm tears falling to my face, screaming in agony, and yet I'm overwhelmed with the presence of the Holy Spirit. I don't know where it is, but I commented that somewhere in a post where I said like, I felt like God was gonna do something good, because he's always doing something good. So I find out that I break my back in multiple spots. I'm out. You saw the footage. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be here for who knows how long, months. And because I had all my camera equipment set up, I told Grace to go downstairs and just grab my gear. Like, hey, go grab this, bring it upstairs. So she brings it upstairs. So then I make God's Got My Back. At this point in the timeline, I'm already thinking, oh, this is a miracle. I just captured making a whole song. It's a proclamation of joy in the midst of a trial. And that could have been it. He could have ended it there. On the post for God's Got My Back, the caption was turning lemons into lemonade. Took that social media break. Now I'm on social media. I scroll past it and I'm like, yo, this song kind of hits. So they send it over and then we do that back and forth thing, capturing in real time. And I'm talking to my friends, I'm talking to my pastor. I'm like, I think this is it. I think this is what the journal was about, capturing the real thing. And so then that song happened. I'm getting emotional right now, just overwhelmed with the Holy Spirit. That song comes out and is doing what it's doing. Like, that was the miracle. That was the miracle. Just that. And then suddenly my back is completely recovered. I know there's someone watching this video who doesn't know Jesus. I used to be depressed. I used to be insecure. I used to be full of anxiety. I was not this person. I gave my life to Jesus and he changed everything. Give your life to him holistically. God bless you guys. Peace.
It's always great to hear stories of God's miraculous powers. And we're going to see more of these kind of things coming up on this season. Thanks for joining us today. Check us out next week on Man Up.
Next time on Man Up, we'll be talking with Jason Miller about finances.
I went and got a finance degree at a local university, and as I was getting prepared to graduate, I started interviewing for jobs, and my wife said, nope, we're going home. So she was my fiance at the time. And it just so happened that Dad was looking to kind of expand a little bit, and so he's like, well, you're going to come in and work for us. So
all that and more next time on Man Up.